For remember, unless a man plants, he can never harvest. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope that you're good, guys, where you are, and I hope that the blessings of the Lord are upon your life on this beautiful day, guys. Now, this is a continuation, and I hope that you're going to be having a beautiful Thursday, right? And I hope as well, guys, that as you're going to wrap up the week, the Lord has been with you throughout the whole week. And as you're going to end the week, I just pray that the Lord has been with you. Now, today, guys, our topic of discussion says that consider the cost. Why you have been so lazy. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I postponing things? I want to do A, I want to do B, I want to do C, but I've been so lazy in doing these things. When I want to read a book, I postpone it for another day. When I want to study, I just find myself watching movies or watching Netflix or watching Showmax, whatever it is, guys. You're always lazy, you always postpone things, you don't have motivation, you don't have drive to do anything. And you ask yourself, I want to do so much things. That which I desire to do, I do not, right? I want to do so many things, but I just find myself lazy. Why is this happening to me? Consider the cost. That is what we're going to be talking about today, guys. Why you have been so lazy? Is it perhaps because you have not considered the cost? Galatians chapter 6 verse 7, which is our principal verse for today, it says that unless a man plants, he can never harvest. Unless a man plants, he can never harvest. This is a law, guys. This is a law. Unless if you plant, you can never harvest. Consider the cost. Guys, is it perhaps because the reason why you've been so lazy is because you've never really thought about it? Like, okay, so what are my consequences of being lazy? What results am I going to get after I'm being lazy? The devil operates in such a subtle manner, guys. He makes you to enjoy the now and not think about the future consequences of your actions today. He can tell you that, it doesn't really matter, man, what you put into your body. Just eat whatever you want to eat, drink whatever you want to drink, smoke whatever you want to smoke. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the moment. Live in the moment. Just enjoy yourself. Why does it matter what is going to happen in the future? Just enjoy yourself. And then, you do that and you don't consider the cost. Consider the cost. But when it comes to the things of God, God makes you to see your actions right now. And He makes you to see your future and makes you to see that, the actions that you are taking today, these are going to be the consequences of your actions today. These are going to be the results in the near future of your actions that you are taking today. Therefore, before you take this action to do this type of activity, look at the consequences that are going to come. So therefore, guys, consequences are much more important than action. Consider the cost. Perhaps the reason why you've been so lazy is because you have not considered the cost, guys. You have not considered, okay, so me not reading this book, what consequences is it going to have in my life? Am I going to be behind? Am I going to be forward? Am I going to just remain neutral? I have not perhaps considered the cost. Maybe that's why I have been so lazy in doing anything. Consider the cost. Whatever actions that you are taking today, guys, I want you to consider the cost, for consequences outweigh decisions. Once you start looking at the consequences and start asking yourself, okay, so this action that I'm doing today, what are the consequences of my action? And you start to take stock of those consequences and you start to see, but if I do this, these are the results that I'm going to get. Your way of thinking is going to be different. And the way that you approach things is going to be different. If you decide to say, okay, I'm not going to read, I'm not going to study for that exam, I'm just going to sit back and relax, look at the consequences of that action that you're taking. What are the consequences of you just sitting back, not studying for that exam, and just sitting back and enjoying yourself? What are the consequences? Have you ever taken a step back and realized that what are going to be my consequences? I'm going to fail. I'm going to be behind. I'm going to remain a grade behind. Have you ever looked at those type of things? Consider the cost. Perhaps that's why we have been so lazy, guys. It's because we don't consider the cost. We don't consider the consequences of our decisions. And today I want to tell you that you should consider the cost. As we go into the weekend, as you are going into the weekend, I want you to just stop and pause for a second. Take stock. Take stock of the week that you have just gone through and ask yourself, if I continue with this type of actions, if I continue with this type of taking actions like this in my life, what are the results of this? Look at other people that once took the type of actions that you are taking and ask yourself, is this where I want to be in my life? When you look at those people that used to take such actions in their lives and look at where they are today, ask yourself, is this where I also want to end up? For remember, nothing is new under the sun. Whatever happened before will again reoccur once again. If someone jumped off a 3-story building, me going there and jumping off this 3-story building, I'm going to get the same results, because remember, guys, history repeats itself. Whatever actions that were taken in the past, if I also come and perform the same actions, I am going to get the same results. So let us start considering the cost, guys. Perhaps this is why we've been so lazy, postponing activities, postponing things that you should be doing. You have not considered the cost of what you are doing. Once you start to consider the cost and you start to realize that, the consequences of these things far outweigh the benefit that I'm getting now, your way of doing things is going to be different. Start considering the cost. And that's just the message I wanted to leave with you today. That remember, consider the cost in everything that you do, guys. Don't just perform activities just for the sake of performing them and not look at the future consequences of what those things are going to do for you in your life. Consider the cost, guys. Before you do anything, before you eat anything, drink anything, smoke anything, read anything, and sometimes with this thing, it's just a show. I'm just watching this show and I'm just enjoying, consider the cost. If you're watching negative things constantly, consider the cost. What is the cost of watching these negative things constantly? What is the cost? How does this thing have an effect on my mind? For remember, unless a man plants, he can never harvest. And also, that's another thing, guys. If you plant nothing, you harvest nothing. Consider the cost. It might seem nice now to relax and watch Netflix and watch Showmax. And of course, guys, nothing is wrong with watching those things. But consider the cost of spending most of your time on those platforms. Are you here on earth to be entertained? And to spend your days on earth being entertained? For even Job says that few are the days that a man has on earth. So what are you doing with the time that you've been given by God? Are you using it to your advantage, or are you using it in a negative way? Consider the cost. And that's just the end of our message for today, guys. That as you're going through into the weekend, before you do anything, consider the cost. Look at the consequences of your actions and start to make the decision that, is this worth it? This type of consequences that I'm going to get, are they worth the results that I'm doing now or the action that I'm taking today? consider the cost. And with that said, guys, that is the end of our message for today. May God be with you, and may you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weekend ahead. And may God be with you until we meet again next week. Ciao.